Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a team building video because I've had a lot of people in the Discord need like recommendations on teams because they don't know how to build them properly. It's alright. Not a lot of people play games like this a lot, and I love these kind of games, so I'm very much aware how to make your teams. So the basics standard, for any RPG that has a 5-man, you're usually going to want one tank, one healer, and then 3 DPS / support units. And this game is the same for most areas. Now, do know there are a lot of game modes. We have the crystal farms that farm your elements for each person. I mean, do you need basically 3 teams of different elements to do those farms, or basically at least 2 teams for the different ones. You have the XP farm, which you just need as fast as possible. Right now, the only one that's unlocked is pretty easy. You have the gear farms, again, several different boss types. Right now, only one's unlocked, but we'll have different boss types later that you do have for that. The daily vortex, which is get as much damage as you can on the dragon. The weekly vortex, similar thing. Arena battles, skill has to be important there. Feywild, which is like the really hard endless battle stuff. And then also alliance battles, which I don't think we know too much right now about alliance battles. But right now, that's all the different game modes. I'm mainly going to be focused on trying to do things like the crystal farms or the elements, as well as the gear farms, because those are the most important things right now. So when you're making your team, you want to, for the most part, try to get at least these 3 guys, because you get all this when you get 3 people on your team that are the same elements. And if you're not going to do that, or if you're going to do that, if you can, get the 5 element bonus, because most of your high DPS will come from the elemental bonus. If you don't get all 5, that's okay. We can't all get, lucky enough to get the same types. But you want to try to shoot for that 5. And this is probably not the best view, so let me see. Let me show you a better view. Alright, so here's all of my guys. I recently, after biting the bullet and being like, I'm just gonna send the budget for my month right now last night, I did summoning and got, if you watch my other video, these 3 characters last night. Luckily, I already had Dane because he's been carrying me this entire game, but I got these 3 and this guy as well pretty early, or pretty late last night. But basically, here's how my team composition goes. Where's my tank? Okay. So here's my tank. I used to use her, the girl you got for the free epic for day 3 login, I think, because she's a good like glass cannon type of tank. As you see here, she can rally and get guaranteed crits that ignore defense, and she can also rally pretty often. So she's like a glass cannon because she doesn't have any actual defensive skills, but her stats are very much defensive. Well, not her stats, but her health at least is very much a lot of health in her. So I used her as a nice little melee unit to aggro enemies as a pseudo tank. But as I got to a lot of these bosses, she was just too weak to actually tank for me, so I had to switch her out. He is who I actually got her for. Switch her for. So this skill here is really good against mobs because it gets 30% more defense. So you definitely want to stack defense on this guy. This is a defense character. A lot of other tanks will stack off of health, some others off of attack, and others off of defense. He is a defense guy. So his passive, you want him to be in a mix of everything. That's when he's actually the strongest. For his battle skill, happens pretty often, gets defense up 2, again, scale that defense. This guy will be the last one standing on your team, even with the taunt sometimes. And then here, rams into the enemy, gets attack penalties, so he's an all-around very good defensive unit. Now, he doesn't have a really cool ability like, let's see, who did I just get that had that? Like this guy. This guy can actually forcibly protect your team, which is really bad for AoEs. Like if they do an AoE attack that already insta-kills your team, well no, that does not insta-kill your team, so like if it hits your team and puts them on low health, but you can still survive, this is pretty bad because now he's taking all this damage for no reason. But if they do targeted attacks at random people, that's when this is really good. Because if you do the AoE and they attack everyone, but everyone survives anyways, you're going to bring this guy closer and closer to death. But if they do like a targeted attack at somebody and they kill that person instantly, that's when you want this skill. This is when you want this skill, even though it's only some of the damage. Or you want it both times because your defense is, usually the least important part, especially if you're near the end of a battle. But be careful with skills like that when you're doing AoE. But yeah, usually you want to tank. Here's my tank. He's the only tank I can really use right now because I don't have any good fire tanks. This guy, he does do well with the damage reduction, but one, It's only 30% versus this guy's 60%. And even though it's a 75% chance, it's almost always procs. This is almost always up when he does the skill. Versus this, which is good because you can control it. Oh, sorry, wrong one. Good because you can control when you want it. But I'd still rather have one that's, you know, defense up 60% rather than damage reduction. Oh no, they're about the same. They're about the same, 30%, 60%. Okay, never mind. So I was wrong on that. But here, attack penalty 2, and then his skill, taunting. Taunting is honestly the more important one because we don't want them running around hitting your DPS units. Those are the guys you want to be as glass cannons. You have the most potential. One single DPS guy like this one could be 3 different tank guys, so it's okay to sacrifice defense on your team. That's your tank. Second most important after your tank is your support, your healers. So DPS, like I said, you have 3, sometimes 4 of those, even 5 if you have a self-healing DPS like one necrotic character that everyone has that I have not used her because she can self-heal. Yeah. So DPS is like the least important, to be honest. So you want support as your next one. I got lucky as this being my first legendary where she can heal the entire team and get defense up twice. So I don't have to worry about it too much. And then her passive does take less damage. Or sorry, her battle skill. That's how you do your supports. You almost always want to have a support unless you're doing speed runs on things like the XP farm. Because those things don't do much damage. Even when I was lower in level in like 40, 30s, and I could like barely beat the level 3 or level 4, I could still get through without a healer because I killed them so fast that I didn't really need a healer. I just placed all my units at the front, didn't use any tank, used 5 DPS units, and I was okay there. That's how you want to. That's when you want to not need a support, is if you're doing a mode like that. But for the most part, for most battles, you're gonna need a support unless your tank is a very good one like him, or I have Dow Bomb unlocked. Who's the immortality guy? Where's that immortality guy? I don't think I have him unlocked. Yeah, I don't. There's a legendary immortality guy, and there's also an epic frost one that I don't think I have. But yeah, if you have immortality on your tank and they can survive for a while, that can be another reason where you don't really need to use a healer because your tank's so good and you have 4 DPSs on a team that you no longer need that healer because you killed the enemy fast enough. Next, of course, is your DPS and your support. And when you're choosing your DPS, they can, again, depends on what stage you're doing. Him, I kind of sometimes would switch him out with my main character, or right now I'm just using him only because he's just so good, but I would switch him out pretty often. I don't need his captain skill anymore because, not his captain skill, who are the other one? Yeah, I don't need any other captain skills because this guy has one of the best captain skills in the entire game. 45% extra damage, come on. But when picking your DPS units, you're looking for synergy as your main thing if you want to do a lot of those attack things. So this guy, Dane, he's surprisingly good for such a boring name. And you know he's a DPS unit because his passive literally says, hey, if they have less than half health, you're going to be doing a bunch of ultimate energy attacks. And when they say skills, they mean battle skill and ultimate skill. So when you do the battle skill, ultimate skill, and less than half health, you get up to 30% already back there again. So he does lots of hits. Another thing is he's one of the few characters with, I'd say, key skills, as in skills that are going to be really well on certain bosses, with he prohibits healing. So I haven't encountered any bosses yet with it, but I know back in the old beta they were very annoying when they self-healed. Just pop this little battle skill every few seconds and you don't gotta worry about that. And then his ultimate's pretty good where he can dispel buffs from them, which I actually don't care about. He is technically support units, but I use him as a DPS because he's just that good. I don't care about this. This is very good, but I don't care about the debuffs. I care about this attack penalty. Even though it's only attack penalty 1 and not 2, this is very good attack penalty. And then look at this. For enemies with HP 20 or 50% or lower, you don't even need to take off their debuff. You just steal it away. So don't dispel the debuff, just steal it away. So that's why he's a really good unit. If you get him, I definitely say use him as a DPS unit. Even if you need like a 5 stack of team, he's just very good support. My other main team or main units are all, as you can see, rally because that's what I summoned. Especially if you're a free-to-play player, you need to just use what you have. I got rally a bunch, even though I'm not free-to-play, and basically nothing else that was viable. My skills all surround this guy using his ultimates, because despite the fact that it's AoE ultimates, he's still good on single targets, even though he only gets, 40% of the damage onto a single target, because he has 20 of these strikes, but only 9 can go into the, 45%, right? No, 40, yeah, no, 40, yeah, whatever. 45%. Because only 9 can go into a single target, he does 20 of them. 6 seconds divided by 0.3 is 20. So when he has a rally, he consumes a rally, does some extra, has faster cooldown. His passive makes him ignore their defense. His battle skill makes him do extra damage, of course. That's all he is. Rally, rally, rally. My support unit here, again, he's the guy with the really good skill here. But his passive, if he doesn't have any rally, and the enemy boss uses rally, which I haven't encountered any of those so far, but if they use rally, he gets to just copy it, which is a useless skill most of the time, but when he does encounter that person, he's going to spank them. Another thing is here, he does rally to the highest attack, which is always this guy, so he's always doing rally into my main guy. And then his ultimate skill, he can do rally once, or if he has rally already, twice, or not, he can do support once, or if he has it twice, rally already, he can duplicate his buff. This buff is insane because if you can do it right before your special, you basically double your damage with all the crits going on. And then that's how you build teams, honestly. It's not too much to it. You want defense is the most important thing. Unless you're doing a raid that has no damage whatsoever, you need defense to keep the rest of your team alive. Support to keep everyone tied together. After that, you're going to do damage. Damage, damage, damage. Or if the boss has a particular skill that you hate, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to lower your attack or dispel your buffs. Or, hey, I'm going to use some guy with taunts because I know you have a very good tank, or not tank, DPS ability, that I want you to attack this little thing that I summoned here on the floor to attack with. Those are the main things you want with your, your team. And now I'll go through and basically show you guys the different types of synergies you can make with the teams. Let's go to gallery. And most of the things only synergize with each other. So fire is only going to really synergize with fire. Poison's only going to really synergize with poison. Lightning with lightning. That's how it is for most of the characters. But there are some, cross synergies as well that you can buff. When we get into fire, you have two different things. You have wild, which is all these guys, and then you have everyone else, which is just random, normal people. I'm going to basically ignore the legendaries right now, especially also when I do the tier list, and mostly focus on these two groups, rare and epics, because that's what you're mostly going to have on your teams. Looking here, let's say I wanted to build a team with him, because I do have him unlocked. He can taunt the enemy, 100% chance, and also give himself damage reduction while he does that. And also heal himself. So he's very good because he doesn't need a healer on his team if he's not taking that much damage. So if you're doing a low damage battle and they're doing low damage where you don't need a healer that much, but also you need some kind of healer still because your team's gonna die if you don't have some kind of healer. Instead of having a tank and a healer, you can just have him. He'll play both. He'll be your tank and your healer. You don't need both of them. That way you can have 4 DPS on your team. He's also one of the few people that you can actually level up his passive skill, which gives him a shield every time he takes damage. He can almost get a shield. So he's a very good guy. Reduces their attack. All around, probably one of my favorite defensive units, even though he said I don't really use him. Even though I could, I prefer having... Oh, wrong person. Prefer having my Black Knight. Because honestly, I like his skills a lot better. Even though he doesn't use Radiance at all, I like this persistence skill a lot. But I could. I'm going to level him up next. Have this Horus guy. Because he's also pretty good. Next is Brody. Let's see. He's basically support, but he doesn't do much for your team besides dispel shields. So if you need him for a boss to dispel shields, that's very good. But as a tank, without having that taunt ability, I don't like tanks without taunts. Yes, he has this attack penalty ability, but I don't like tanks without taunts. And I know. But your tank doesn't have a taunt. I know that. But that's because my other DPS guy has a lot of defense as well. But if you don't have, a very good defensive / attack unit for your DPS, you're going to want taunting on. And here, he's very much anti-shield. When they gain a shield, he steals some of their shield. More support, again. You want to not... I would say you should not need to use the same buffs on every single person. So like if this guy has attack penalty and this guy has attack penalty 2 as well, I wouldn't use both of them if they both have the same buff. This is attack penalty 1, other one's attack penalty 2, so that's okay. But if they have both the same one, I would not use them together because usually if you're proccing correctly, you wouldn't need both of them. But if you want them to go back to back, one proccing then another proccing, you could do that. And that's all it is for the normal fire guys. I'll show you the wild people. So this is the only wild person in the epic that you can get. I think that's the only wild in the rare, right? Oh no, you have Thea. Thea's really good. Thea and Netta are both really good. So let me go into the tournament first. So tournament. Every time an ally gets a wild ability, she gets 5% crit damage. Up to 20 times. That's 100%. So if you have this plus the base crit damage plus a little bit of your own, you can get anywhere from 170% extra damage to 200% extra damage or even more every time you crit. Sorry, I have so much mucus. And then with her crit rate already being so high, 18%, she's going to gain an extra 20%. So she's critting almost 40% of the time base. So yes, very good at critting. She's very similar to the no, sorry. So it's damage, just 3 times higher difference. Hero higher damage. So it works really well with if you have a lot of buffs in your team. So if you have who here can buff? I don't think any of the fire people are really that good at buffing your teammates, are they? Yeah, these are debuffers. Debuffer, debuffer, and debuffer. So she does not work well with her team. So even though she has the fire, she doesn't work well with any of these guys. And then can you buff your teammates? No. Nope. Yeah, because most of the buffers I've seen are all in Radiance or Frost, I think. I don't think Shield counts as a buff at all. So yeah. So her skill, she works well, but that difference between buffs and debuffs, or buffs between a hero and a target, useless for most of the time. But like I said, she's still pretty good because if you have her with another wild, which I'll show you in a second, she can get lots of damage off. I had her on my other character as well as a test server, and she put in work. Next is Netta, which is probably one of the strongest rares in the game. And the reason being is this ultimate skill. 24% in all battles, all dungeon battles. So if you're lower, you don't have a lot of epics in your crew already, and you're struggling to get damage in, if you're using Fire Radiance team, or if you just need one person to be a captain, she's very good at increasing the entire team's damage. Her passive increases wild success to 60 instead of 30%. So it's usually 30, now it's 60. This skill, nothing special, just does damage. Excuse me. This skill as well, nothing special, does this damage. So she is a pure DPS unit. She doesn't need to synergize with anybody. She helps everyone else out. You can just pop her onto any team, and she's going to do well. That's why she's probably one of the best rares in the game. She just pop on anyone and do well. Livia, again, does not really synergize with much people. She's a support unit that tries to be a tank for you, but she doesn't synergize. So she's someone I would say doesn't do well with the rest of the fire. Here, Thea, the other wild character. So look at this. This is where you want to have her and Netta and Tournament all on the same team. And they all have a high crit rate too, except for Thea. So these are all you want to just nothing but crit rate. Every time she does a successful wild check on an ally, she gets 1/20th of her ultimates. So if your allies are doing one every couple seconds, she's going to be dealing damage. Again, middle skill does really nothing. It's just a damage attack. Third skill though, or ultimate skill, damage up, which she's going to have almost constantly with the way you're building your team. So if I wanted to say, hey, I need an all fire and radiant team, but we're mostly focused on the fire for right now, and I only have epics and rares, I'm going to put Horus as my tank. Horus is a self healer. He doesn't need anyone else to really help him, but you're going to fill in the support later. But I'm going to put Horus on him, Tonomin, Netta, Thea, and then of course Dane. Now, because you have Dane on your team with his attack penalty, as well as your support with an attack penalty, that means you don't need as much healing on the team. So he might be okay with just himself doing healing. You want to make sure you put a lot of health and defense on him. He doesn't need any attack. He's your tank. That's all he's doing. That's how I would build a team if I was just using these fire. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, Dobok, I didn't really talk about him because he doesn't really do much for the rest of the people. He dispels control, but you're not going to get controlled much early on. And then he has a light chance, because it's only 50%, it's not 75 or 100%, a light chance to stun. That's why I don't like him. He doesn't have that high chance of anything. And that's how you build a team with fire. That's how you build a team with fire. Again, you don't need all 5. If you needed just 3, I'd say, hey, who's the best unit in here that you don't have from wherever else? So if you have a better tank with him, Then your other things, like I don't have any lightning. So say I need a lightning tank. I don't really have all the lightning characters as far as no legendaries, and I'm still missing two of these. Or frost. Say I really needed frost. I have none of these frost characters. So if I needed the really good tank and I was building like a frost build for some reason, or vice versa, I would use him as my person for no, sorry, if I was building a frost team and I needed a tank but I had no frosting, I can still use him. I can substitute him in because he's a good basically solo unit. But if I'm using fire and I just have two more slots left, the three I would use are going to be Dane, because he's just so useful that even though these three synergize so well, I still want Dane on my team. Dane, Netta, and then probably Tonalman. Yeah, probably Tonalman is my other one. Because Netta, like I said, her captain skill, do not sleep on these captain skills. 24% damage to everyone. Well, Thea, she can also do a lot of damage. Yeah, the last slot would be up to you, but again, Dane and Netta would be the two I'd pick, and the third one could be up to you on which one you want there. That's how you build a fire team. Poison, I'm going to have to get back to this, because apparently they nerfed Poison from what it used to be. I know Durango used to be very overpowered, but I guess now he's not. But let's go into the poison synergies. They're a lot simpler than the other ones because it's poison and that's it. If the enemy has poison, you do extra poison damage, blah blah blah. It's not like the fire where it's like, hey, I'm gonna trigger wild and then do something, or if I'm triggering wild, do something. It's not like Radiance where, hey, you have to have rally up first and then do this. Poison is you either have like one stack or you have like 5 stacks. Poisons are pretty much the same. So if an enemy dies with poison on it, you do more poison damage. Poison damage, inflict poison. Poison damage, inflict poison. So not too much about the poison guys. Again, getting a good tank, getting good support, and then a bunch of DPS units. So I'm not going to focus too much on poison. Lightning. Lightning has a very high potential for energy, or sorry, not for energy, for damage, because they all synergize pretty well in my opinion. I think Lightning synergizes the best out of all the characters, because necrotic's mostly for summoning. Frost synergizes very well as well. Frost is probably the most. But Frost and then Dauntless for the Lightning characters. So let's look at this skill. Dauntless here, again, attack speed, he has a very, very good aura. If you're going to run a lightning team, you want him as your captain. So I don't think there's much other guys with better auras. Oh, here, he's the only other person with a better aura. So if you this legendary Sutha, he'll be better. But everyone else, use him as your captain. So what Dauntless does is that you have to do basic attacks, which means when you're building your characters, attack speed and attack. Those are your two things you want to stat up. Attack and attack speed. So here, he has a chance to attack twice. Here, lowest enemy, so he can snipe people. That's good about him. He's a DPS person that can snipe enemies to the lowest health. Or he can snipe their DPS units, because their DPS is going to be the lowest health person. If you're fighting a boss, this doesn't matter. But if you're in arena, or if you're doing mobs a lot, and there's like that guy in the back trying to snipe you, he's going to be very good to be like one of your DPS units. Just be careful that he's melee. He's good at mobs as well, because when he kills an enemy, so that means he needs to kill people to actually really do well, he will get attack up. Not attack speed, which is kind of weird. The rest of the lightning guys usually get attack speed, but still he gets attack up. So again, this doesn't do anything against a boss unless it's a summoner. So he's going to suck against those bosses. Just remember that. He doesn't do anything against a boss. It's not a summoner. If you're using an ultimate skill and you're only getting half the benefit, you do not want that person on your team unless that's all you have. So if I'm fighting a boss and I need to choose a lightning character, I would choose him for this aura here, but his ultimate sucks because you're not getting the attack up. And then this sucks because there's only one enemy anyways. There's no point. He can't snipe anyone. So despite him being a very good lightning character, he's going to suck on most bosses. Now let's get to him. He's a defensive Dauntless character. So he's like a sort of like a DPS attack. As you can see, he scales off attack. And even the shield scales off attack. So let's look at his passive. 30% chance goes up to 45% once you have max rank of dealing derived lightning damage. So derived damage is basically, hey, I do a specific skill that says I'm going to do a certain type, and I get derived. Derived scales off of enlightenment like the healers do. And I think it's 0.5%? 32, what does it say? Yeah, 16%. So yeah, every 2 points gives you 1% extra damage of enlightenment. So if you can get to 100 enlightenment, which is not super hard, you get 50% extra damage over time effects. Again, this guy is very good at fighting mobs, not against bosses. You know he's not against bosses because his first passive already tells you, I do things against mobs. This is going to be almost useless against bosses, or not useless, but you're not getting anywhere near the full potential against bosses. So he's more for farming than bosses. Here, this is very good though. Grants lightning shield and attack up to an ally. So he not only shields them, but he also gives them attack buff. So if you have like a pseudo tank on your team that's not really like a full on tank, this guy will pair well with them. And then ultimate gives everyone on your team, when they launch basic attacks, all Thunder's Gift. So again, he's a support slash DPS units slash pseudo tank because he supports people almost. So he's a pretty good character. Again, not good for bosses. So despite the fact that I love these two characters, they're going to suck in most bosses. They're not getting their full potential, meaning you're wasting resources. Here, Lydia, a tank. I've not used her yet, but from her description, she sounds pretty good. For every 5 basic attacks you do, she gets 20% max shield and grants 1 to the lowest health ally. Those skills are always really good because your DPS unit and your healer are usually the lowest health guys. Oh no, not your healer. You usually want a high health healer, but your DPS guys are usually the lowest health, and your highest DPS guy is usually the person with the lowest health because he's all his stats are an attack. So this one's very good here by giving them extra max HP, even though it'd be better to give it off of herself. This skill, very good skill. You cannot control it, which sucks because as you can see, it's for 5 seconds, and it takes 12 seconds to recharge. So that means is every 5 seconds you're going to be invincible, but then for 7 seconds you're not invincible. The recharge time goes down by 4 seconds when you have it max, but even then at that stage, 5 seconds invincible versus the 3 seconds you're not. If you get hit in that time that you're not invincible, that's going to suck. But at least you can self buff and get attack speed up, which means she's going to grant a lot of shields. Ultimate ability, kind of useless against normal mobs, but actually very good against the bosses. So she's someone I would use on a boss killer. This is not someone I would really use on mobs because you probably don't need her as much. Unless your team's like, again, if you don't have a good variety, you might need her. But as far as what she's meant for bosses. Because she can say, hey, I know this boss is going to fill up that little bar up here at the top. It's almost there. Then you unleash your ultimate skill, and then they can't be controlled. So if they're trying to attack down to you, or stun you, or fear you, or do any kind of those effects on you, she's going to be great for that. So she's going to be someone that you put for a boss defense unit. Not a mob defense unit unless she's all you have, that's good, but a boss defense unit. And Lola, she has a good aura as well. So yeah, her, oh wow, they both have, that's 2 people. Yeah, attack speed, and then attack. So attack speed's actually better because they both do the same DPS. Like if someone had 100 attack and they attack every 1 second, they're both gonna do the same thing. But because a lot of lightning people like to go off of attack speed, the other guy is a better aura than her in most situations. So she can stun people, nice support ability, does attack, and also can silence people, and then her ultimate can do more silencing people. So she has a chance to stun people randomly, you can't really control it, just a chance to stun people, and she can silence a lot. This attack penalty too, though, I mean, she's very good on bosses, so she's a good all-around person where I'd say I can bring her into a boss battle, or I can bring her into a normal battle. And then we're not going to spend too much time on the rares, because at this point you should be able to see, hey, this is how I'm building my teams. I know what to look for, I know how to synergize now, let's go. Again, attack speed, you're going to want this back attack speed for her. Gain attack up, not attack speed up unfortunately, but attack up every 10 seconds, or every 5 seconds, you're going to have it on half the time, so that's good. And then attack speed to all Dauntless allies, only the Dauntless ones, which sucks, but I mean, if you're using full attack, you have Shelter and Shock Roll, you can work with that. And I think this next one, no, I thought Arena was. So Emerald's pretty weak. Oh, he has a attack up speed all the time though. That's good. Yeah, so I don't like Emerald. So, but you could use Vanny on Shago and Shelter. She was gonna both of them. It's probably as well as herself, but I'm not sure on that one. Again, support. You always need a healer. Restores HP when taking damage that exceeds 100%. Okay, so he restores her own health. Hit recovery. So there's hit recovery, which is recovering health over time, and there's also just a flat heal. Hit recovery is usually better in my opinion because unless a boss just nuked you and you really need to heal, I'm usually getting taken down by, small hits over time that are killing me. When the boss kills me, it's usually that. They can have a nuke, but if your guy's taunting right, or if you have a tank in the front, your tank should survive that nuke. So she is a damage over time or recovery over time healer, not a flat out blank, I'm gonna heal a bunch of people. So she actually works better on. Sorry. So it's better on mobs. Again, are we doing mobs? Or are we doing bosses? She's gonna work better on the XP farm or the vortex and things like that. Unless you get nuked, then she might be a little better on the not as good on those gear farms and things like that. And then that's it, really, guys. There's not too much to team building. I guess I can go into how my team works real quick. This is a healer. She has no synergy at all with the rest of the team. All she does is damage over time and damage reduction. That's all she does. She has no bearing on the rest of the team. Delendor, as I went to a little bit, when he has rally, he does extra damage, and his cooldown goes down better. Where's my tank? This tank doesn't use rally at all, but he does have attack penalty and taunts as well. So that's why I like him a lot. My support unit, because I don't need 3 DPSs on this team. I'd rather have an extra support unit to buff my best attack person. He has a very good ability that basically gives my character a bunch of extra damage and also himself extra damage. So even though he's used more as a support and I build him with that support in mind, he's still also a very good DPS when he buffs himself with this skill here. So that's that guy. And then the last guy I usually use on my team is Dane. Again, healing prohibition. Haven't needed it at all yet, but when I do, I'm going to love it. Fear is actually pretty good. That comes on pretty often. I didn't really speak about that because he's just a really good unit. And attack penalty more. So he has attack penalty and then this damage here. This is where he makes him very good. So early on in the half, I'll see his damage would be like one of the lowest, just above the support. Sometimes less than a tank if my tank's putting in a lot of work. And then after that halfway point, his damage skyrockets. So if you have a very good defensive team, like I have had for a long time where I have too many defensive units, you can live to like near the end of the battle, but then you run out of time. Or then once you start getting towards the end of the battle, you're healing slightly less than what they're doing damage to, so you're almost dying. He's when he comes into effect. But if you're dying right off the bat, he's not going to be good for your team. And yeah, that's team building 101. I'll be in a Discord, same name you guys see here. I like to do little things there. I want to team up with some guys to do a wiki video, or not wiki video, a wiki page about all the recipes and things like that, but that'll probably take a while, so I'll see about that. And yeah, no, I didn't go really much over the rally, the summoners, or the frost, but they're similar to the other 3 here, that's why. Radiance, you're going to rally your teammates, do abilities while they're under rally. If they're not under rally, don't use your abilities, which what that means is that you have to play pretty manual when you're doing Radiance. Frost team, they do Frost. When an enemy's under Frost, you do extra damage. You don't really have to play that manual because it's all about damaging the enemy under Frost, not buffing a specific teammate while they're under Frost. And then necrotic is where all your summoners are. So I will go into this real quick. Necrotic is a little odd because it's not just a straight up I do damage or I heal. They are summoners. They probably have besides the Dauntless guys, they have a lot of damage, the highest potential for damage, because if you can keep their summons alive, instead of only having, 3, maybe 4 people doing damage in your team, you might have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, the whole board doing little bits of damage to the enemy. And then not only that, if you can do a perpetual keep spawning people, you may not even need a tank. Because if you're spawning a bunch of guys that die, after 3 hits, and they're not attacking your main guys, you may not need a tank. You can have an extra summoner to do damage. So Ishitar changed his name to Isatarian. If you can keep his dragon alive, it's very good. If you cannot, he's garbage. Do not use him. The reason being, starts at the start of battle. So if his dragon dies, that's half of his usefulness gone. Because look at his battle skill. He has to attack up to allies for 5 seconds. Attacks the... Sorry, this is a typo. What it means to say is grants this to the dragon first. Attacks the dragon first. Yeah, typo. I'll report that. So when the dragon's there, it gives it attack up 2. Again, another typos. Attack up 1, not 2. Okay, double typos. When the dragon's alive, he gives attack up 2, versus when the dragon's not alive, he gives attack up 1 to one person. So, you need your dragon. And this one, at least there's a fireball at the enemy that does necrotic damage, and then when he does that, his dragon also copies him and does the attack and prioritizes that same target. So you can say, hey, even though I'm attacking these guys on the bottom of the map, I need to attack this guy on the top of the map, let me really target him. Really good if you keep the dragon alive. If you cannot keep it alive, do not use Isatar. He is garbage if you cannot keep it alive. This person, I don't really use her. I never liked her in the first beta. His visibility seems pretty weak, but let's see. Yeah, but you guys can go through that and see how you like that. Let's try to focus on the summoners, really. Here we go. So, charge ultimate energy by 5% and extra attack every time an allied summoning unit dies. So he needs to synergize with other units. If he's not synergizing with another summoner, he's not going to do well. Here, summons a skeleton lasts 15 seconds. Recharge time is 8 seconds, so you can have two. You do one, 15 seconds, 8, and then do another one. So yeah, 2 alive at any time is what he'll have in his stack. So he's very good on bosses. If you can keep everyone alive for like the time limit, he'll do well because he can cycle to his 30 times stack and get 120% extra damage. That sounds like a lot. Yeah, 4 times 30 is 120% extra damage. That sounds like a lot of damage. And then his ultimate's pretty simple, just do damage. Another summoner. So he's good with the other guy just looking at because he grants some extra attack. And then he summons his own dragon that lasts for 20 seconds. And his recharge time is 8 seconds at max level, which means you can have 3 of these boys on a field at the same time. And then look at this. Attack speed up for all his undead guys. But again, if they are not actually alive, these are probably the most hardest to work with, in my opinion, is the summoners. After the summoners, I say the Radiance. So if you're like a lower skill player or you don't like having to manage so much stuff, do not try to use Radiance or Necrotic because you have to, manually control a lot of those things or think about them a lot while you're battling. Let's see. She's like a standard character, no special skills. So this one, I'm not sure if it actually triggers on when an undead, a summon dies. If it does trigger when a summon dies, I have to test this out somehow. I do have them. If it triggers when a summon dies, it's very good. If it only triggers when the main hero dies, it's gonna be garbage. But I think it triggers every time a summon dies. So that makes more sense to me. No, but then you have unlimited ones. Yeah, so I think it's only... I have to test this out. Okay, yeah, but that's how to build a team. Have your tank, have your healer, and go to town with all the rest of the DPS. Oh, wrong one. And again, let me go into what I have. So he will go in and attack everyone, gets aggroed on. He has the ability to get extra defense here and also extra defense here, so he's always staying alive. This support guy here will buff my leader, which is either going to be Dane or going to be Thelendor. Thelendor will be my leader. While Dane will just have a lot of attack. Once he's above, I can finally use his ultimate ability, and that's how the cycle goes. Hey, about using manual for these people, his abilities doesn't really matter unless you're fighting a boss. If you are, save this to do the attack penalty, and that's my cycle. So he goes in, leave everyone basically on auto. I leave these guys on auto, but I keep these 3 triggered off. Usually is how I do it like this. Once I see that rally, I go, okay, let me take off this thing, wait until the ability is almost there. Might not make it this time, but I'll do this. So now he's not rallied anymore, but if he was rallied, and then I do this. Attack here, and then save these 2, because you honestly don't need to use them. So again, rally, especially, you need to manually do things a lot. Once I need to heal, I'll heal them and say, oh, the boss's trigger is coming all the way up here. I'll go ahead and do this. Gives them an attack penalty. That way they're not doing so much damage to you. And that's how you do it. Let's see. Next, I will probably go into doing a tier list video. So I'll probably get started on that now. Might have it finished by the end of the night. If not, I'll probably have to post it on tomorrow on Sunday. And let's see where my rankings are at now. Rank 90 there. And let's see. Because I accidentally submitted the wrong vortex thing. I had almost 900,000 damage, but I submitted the wrong one on accident. So I lost. I could have had a lot more ranking. Yeah, 137. And you can see some of the teams that these guys are using. So yeah, it's a tank, DPS, DPS, healer, DPS. Try to see a tank as well. Nice tank as well. 2 tanks. Oh no, he's not a tank. He looks like the other frost giant. Okay, so 3 DPSs again. Tank, healer, DPS, DPS, DPS. Damage, damage. Pretty sure just damage. Oh, I think these are... He's a support. Yeah, he can heal. He can kind of pseudo tank, not a real tank. And then also another healer. So he has no defense. He has a pseudo tank, a support, 3 DPS. My gosh, and this is the one I want the most because her passive skill is, come on, look at that. For every 3 seconds you get a stack. So if you're surviving for like 2 minutes, because it's like a 3-minute battle or a 5-minute battle, that's 20 stacks each minute. Like, come on, that's a lot. And here's their tank. Yeah, these people, I don't know how much money you got to spend on this, but it has to be in the thousands because you do not get legendaries that easily. Yeah, well, that's how you team build, guys. Not too hard. I'm trying to show where the hero rankings are, so you can see how people are building their teams. So I can't for the life of me remember where the hero rankings are. Oh, I think I remember where it's at now. Go over to here. No, it's not over here at all. Okay, I'll go through one battle to show you guys how it's done. I cannot do this yet. Close, almost, but a little too weak for that right now. So here's my actual tank. I'm thinking of switching him out for this guy in a bit because he can tank everyone, but right now, keep him like this. So he goes in, I put him at the top to take the most of the damage, but when this guy uses his skill, he's going to attack this guy because I don't have enough health to keep everyone alive at the same time. Despite being my main attack guy and not really focusing on health, as you can see, I kind of got lucky with a lot of this gear. Oh, never mind, I guess I am focusing on health. But he'd be better off with a lot more damage. He still has a good amount of health. That's, excuse me, about 24, a little under 24,000 health right here. Whereas my tank has 34,000 health and 800 defense. But my other DPS is only 18,000 health and only 23,000 health for my healer. To this I don't really need to use. And you want to use auto when you first start because... Did he have Radiant? I couldn't see if he had Rally. You want to use auto on your healers, especially because you want them to heal as soon as possible when you're about to die. So two of my guys were almost dead there, so that's why I kept them on auto at first, and now I'm doing manual. Then go back to auto because everyone else can just do the rest of this battle themselves. He may die, he may not. It's all good because the rest of my team can kind of carry it since that first little ball thing is dead. Man, here's the damage. So Dane, despite being support, has pretty good damage here, almost as much as my main guy. And look at that, we see that because he had Rally, he does extra damage and ignores defense, so his damage skyrocketed when he had that. And yeah, that's my team there. That's what I currently have. Hopefully gonna get some more fire characters or lightning characters later. As of right now, I'm building this guy up. Well, he's built up now to see if he'll be a better tank. and for gold, the 15% elements bonus. And then I also have this guy as my other defense because they keep giving me defense heroes. And support. All these support epics and defense epics. But yeah, that's the video there. I'll see you guys in the tier list video.